Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Friday, November 11th, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Orlando Magic vs Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul has been inconsistent to start the season. Phoenix should be fine without him right now. Cameron Payne was very inconsistent last season, but Payne has shown he can play well as a starter for Phoenix at the point. The Suns will likely not look past even bad teams like Orlando with Paul out, and Phoenix has cleaned up against mediocre and bad teams this season. Orlando hasn't been able to get stops at all over the last week, and the team has struggled on defense most of the season. Even though the Suns' road record isn't impressive, this team was a very good road team last year, and it's still very early in the season. Phoenix's experience and defense should make them a good team on the road again this year, and Payne has shown he's capable of running the point. Take the Phoenix -7 points. Phoenix plays faster with Payne at the point, since Paul likes to slow the game down, and Orlando hasn't been able to stop anyone over the last week. The Magic are still a decent offensive team, they've scored over 120 points 3 times in just the last week. Banchero continues to impress offensively, and Wendell Carter and Jalen Suggs have also stepped up offensively with Cole Anthony still out. Ayton should have a significant matchup advantage in the paint, and even though Phoenix is a good offensive team, Payne isn't the defender Paul is. Orlando has also been playing well offensively over the last week, and they've also been a decent offensive team for most of the year. The Magic have been playing up-tempo, and the Suns usually play faster with Payne running the point. This should be a high-paced game. Take the over, 214. Boston Celtics vs Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets recovered from their slow start and are rolling along as they come into Boston on Friday night. The Nuggets have won 3 straight on their current road trip and 4 games in a row overall. On Wednesday night, the Nuggets downed Indiana on the road, 122-119. After jumping out to an 8-point lead after the first quarter, the Nuggets were outscored by 18 in the second quarter, as two-time MVP Nikola Jokic spent a majority of his time on the bench in foul trouble. Trailing by 6 points entering the fourth quarter, Jokic took over and helped carry the Nuggets to their 4th straight win. Jokic finished the game with 24 points in just 21 minutes of work. For the game, Denver shot 43% from 3-PT range to pull off the come-from-behind win. Boston took both games from Denver last season, a close victory in Denver and a 20-point win in Boston. The Nuggets have added some pieces this year, notably the returns of Murray and Porter Jr., but Boston has also added Brogdon and watched the continued growth of all-star forwards Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Both teams will score in this game, and both teams will knock down threes. The Celtics will likely send a slew of players at Jokic including Al Horford, Grant Williams and 7-feet Luke Kornet. They won't be able to contain the two-time MVP, but they will likely try and force him to pass the ball out of the paint. While both teams are equally effective offensively, the Celtics present the more formidable defensive unit. Murray, for instance, is not quite yet back to form following his ACL surgery and is not the dynamic scorer he was 2 seasons ago. Boston can contain him with Marcus Smart and Derek White. I expect Boston to get the stops they need to make when the game is on the line and pull out a win going away against a Denver team that is still working out its defensive shortcomings thus far. Take Boston -5. These are the 2 top shooting teams in the NBA, and if they are both hot, watch out. Boston's 118.7 points per game is second best in the league, and during their current winning streak, they are averaging 123.4 points per game. Denver's 116.7 average is tied for 7th in the league. They too have kicked things up during their current run, averaging 121.4 during their 4-game win streak. Together these two teams should be able to beat most overs that come their way. Take the over, 230.5 points. New York Knicks vs Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are coming off a visit to Boston on Wednesday, where they lost 128-112 to fall to 3-9 on the season. It was their fourth loss in their last 5 games. The Pistons are in last place in the Central Division, already 7.5 games behind first place Milwaukee. In the loss to Boston, Detroit won the rebounding battle 48-43 and made a whopping 31 of 40 free throws. But it wasn't enough as the Celtics drained 18 three-pointers. The New York Knicks are coming off a performance they would rather forget. They got pummeled by their crosstown rival, the Brooklyn Nets, 112-85 on Wednesday. And this was not as close as the lopsided score might indicate. This was just a beatdown pure and simple. The Knicks shot a dreadful 32% from the floor and made only 12 of 43 from the three-point line. The New York Knicks have owned the Pistons over the past few seasons. They come into this game having won 9 straight games over the Pistons dating back to 2020. That winning streak was extended earlier this season when the Knicks pummeled the Pistons 130-106 on 52.6% shooting. Coming off an embarrassing loss to the Nets on Friday, I expect the Knicks to come out angry and fired up. The Pistons have a lot of nice young players, but they still struggle on the defensive end. And playing against a solid Knicks team on the road, the Pistons just aren't ready to win those types of games, especially if Cunningham is out. Take the Knicks here to run it up and cover the spread. Knicks -8 points. The Knicks are off to a mediocre start to the 2022-23 season, as they're without a signature win and lost matchups to Brooklyn, Boston, Atlanta, Cleveland, and Milwaukee, 5 likely Eastern Conference playoff contenders. Wins over Philadelphia and Minnesota would have looked good on paper before the season started, but the 76ers are 5-6 and the T-Wolves are 5-7. It might not fill the seats at MSG, but the Knicks have at least defeated the teams they're supposed to in Detroit, Orlando, and Charlotte. Another win over the Pistons wouldn't move the dial much, but it should give New York some momentum before its upcoming road trip with consecutive games against Utah, Denver, Golden State, and Phoenix. The under is 5-1 in the Knicks' last 6 games, following a straight-up loss of more than 10 points and 4-1 in the Pistons' last 5 overall. New York and Detroit are 20th and 27th in adjusted offensive rating for the strength of opposing defenses faced, as well. The Pistons are a young enough team that playing at MSG could light a fire underneath them, but that can also work against an inexperienced team. Losers of 4 of its past 5, I expect Detroit to play competitively, but we're still talking about a team that's topped 112 points just 3 times in their past 10 games. The under is also 4-1 in New York's last 5 overall. I'll bet that trend continues on Friday night, take the under 224.5 points.